Hello, here I am again. I tried this half an hour ago and the audio was a disaster. Could you please let me know in the chat if the audio is okay? No, it should be fine. But yeah, that was disappointing. I considered just thinking this wasn't my day, but I was like, no, I'm gonna show up. So it would be great if you could let me know in the chat if the audio is better now. Also, I'm just going to take some time because officially I wasn't going to start yet, but I thought I'll just go live a little bit early and give some of you the chance to join in. But yeah, the audio is good. Thank you. Thank you. I listened it back. It was all awful. It did sound like robotic chipmunks. It was terrifying. So if you were just there and you decided to join a second time anyway, thank you. I appreciate it a lot. Good morning. This is Nellie Kelly. Tokunbo Latona TV says hello. Rushu, hello to you. Hella Seila. That's nice. That's great. Kim says hi. Happy to have you here. So I just resent an email to the mailing list saying, oops, I'm sorry about that other link. Here's the new link. So I'm just waiting for a couple of people to join in. Leah, hello. Morgan, hello. So yeah, I'm reading good morning. So some of you will be good morning. And for me, it's afternoon. And then there will be people for who it will be evening or even night, and you should be sleeping. I'm just going to check out the chat a little bit. Glad to catch the live. Well, I'm glad to have you here. Night from Bangkok. Hello, lovely. I used to live in Pattaya, so I remember that. I also used to live in Yokohama and in Muscat. Traveled all around the world. No, I'm not in the UK. I'm in the Netherlands. So I'm smack in the middle of that tiny, tiny country called the Netherlands. So yeah, if you want to let me know where you are. Again, I'm just getting into the swing of the live. I'll get into why we are here soon. But right now I'm just happy that the audio is working, and that it's 3:30 for me. And we can actually get started with what I intended to, because I have some cool stuff to share with you. Some of you have already found the chat. Feel free to use it. The topic for today is figuring out the root causes of your fertility struggles, because I've been talking a lot about that lately, but I realized I wasn't really addressing which ones, maybe here and there. But I thought, actually, I can give you a proper overview, because this is exactly what I do when I see my patients. I go through their entire case and I hunt for root causes. And my team, who's about to start with fertility treatments, slots are open right now. They will be doing the same thing. So I wanted to ask you, and you can leave that in the chat. When you go and have your fertility checked, so you go and see a doctor, what are the things that you feel they're looking at? You can just shout out one or two things or several things. Because I think that when you go and see a gynecologist or something like that, those are the things we usually have in mind, right? When you have your fertility checked out. And if you have any other questions, you can pop them in as well. If you have any questions about the patient slots that we're having open right now, you can ask that now as well, because tonight is the deadline to sign up if you want to join the live kickoff that we are doing this Saturday. Well, that I am doing this Saturday. We're going to start identifying some root causes for you. So if you want to be there, then tonight is the deadline. And it really doesn't matter where you are in the world. You see loads of people, different different countries. Whenever your Thursday ends, that's when the deadline is. Basically, I am checking tomorrow morning who's on the list and sending out an invite for that session. So you have plenty of time, but not that plenty. Make sure you sign up before you go to bed. So if you have questions about that program, you can ask me about that here. And I am not seeing anybody writing what things get checked out when you go and see a doctor for your fertility. Oh, there you go. Piraya is saying, I spot a few days before my period, and then the OBGYN doctors did not see that as a harm. But I doubt that it might have something to do with hormone imbalance. Yep, you're on the right track, lovely. So that's one of the things, right? So I'm curious, what did they do to check you out and to decide that the spotting wasn't an issue for you? Morgan says they only check a few things like estrogen and progesterone. Yeah, two important hormones, right? Estrogen, that is dominant in the first half of your cycle and important to start maturing your egg. And then progesterone, the second half of your cycle. And if that's too low, it's hard to hold on to a pregnancy. So yes, hormones for sure. What else? Well, I'm sure you know that sperm tests get run. If your man wants to go, some men don't really want to go. But when they do go, and their test results are great, what does your doctor say? But you're fine. You're fertile. That's right. And, well, I'm just going to fill in a few of the other things because otherwise this gets really dragged out. I think the YouTube chat is very delayed compared to my Zoom chat. So I'll just fill in the rest. Pretty sure you know all of this. But if you go and have your fertility checked out, usually you'll get some hormone testing done. Exactly. Estrogen, progesterone, maybe FSH to see if you're near menopause. Maybe LH gets checked to see if you are actually triggering ovulation or if you're at risk of PCOS. If you are lucky, your thyroid might get checked. If all of that is within range, and I'm emphasizing within range, then you're considered to have a healthy hormone balance. Maybe you will get some scans done, right, of your fallopian tubes. Are they open? Maybe they'll check out your endometrial lining. Is it thick enough? And then, as I said, the sperm test for your man. And if that one isn't great, maybe they'll check for testosterone or something like that. If all of those things are within range, the ranges that we've agreed on, right, that everybody's supposed to fit into, then you're told you have unexplained infertility or you're fine. But when a couple like that comes to see me, I never use the term unexplained infertility because there's no such thing. If you are struggling to fall pregnant, if you're struggling to hold on to your pregnancies, there's a reason for it. There always is. And in all honesty, there usually isn't just one reason. It's usually multifactorial. And it is really sad that this is not how we're being treated. That if you go into a consultation, you're in and out in 10 minutes, maybe with a whole lot of tests to get run, or those tests have been run and you've been told, no, you're fine, just keep trying. Or maybe we should try fertility drugs or, whatever. Fertility drugs are also suggested when it is evident that a woman is ovulating. So there isn't a lot that we look into. Yeah, I am seeing Mrs. say, what about trauma? Yes, exactly. That's not often looked into, but that would definitely be one of the things that I would look into with you. So I jotted down some notes. So I wanted to make sure I didn't forget any of the things that I wanted to share with you, but I'm really curious if the things that I will share with you, if they are new to you, or if it's all the same. You knew all of it. So number one, the first thing that I look at with you is your cycle. Is your cycle ideal to fall pregnant? And if you have signed up to my free course, the Your Fertile Window, used to be Basics to Fertility Charting. I need to get used to the new name. I like that better, Your Fertile Window, Because, why did I pick that? Your fertile window? Well, it's because about your fertile window, and you want to learn to identify it so you can make use of it and then fall pregnant. But also, your fertile window is not the same as your sister's fertile window. Yeah, so that's why I called it that. But in that mini course, I tell you exactly how to chart with ovulation tests, with temperatures, checking your cervical mucus. And right at the end, there is a video, a module that tells you, so what does an ideal chart look like? It doesn't have to be perfect, but ideal to fall pregnant. That means that the first half of your cycle is long enough so that you can mature an egg properly, because if you release it too early and it gets released, then it's very difficult for an embryo to develop properly. Then if the second half of your cycle is too short, you may start your menstruation before your pregnancy is taking. So that's important. We look at temperatures. Are they high enough, but not too high? Are they cool enough, but not too cool? Are you having enough cervical mucus? Are you having egg white cervical mucus? Is your period long enough? Because if it's really short, then your endometrial lining is probably not ideal. Or if it is very clotted, then the quality might not be great. Or if it's very stringy or dark, then the quality is probably not great either. But if it's very long, that also suggests something about your hormones. So your cycle, when you track it, will give you loads and loads of information, which is one of the reasons that I ask all of my patients to chart. Now, if you haven't been charting yet, that doesn't mean you cannot start as a patient, because we'll help you through that. But we'll help you to collect that information, because we draw a lot of conclusions based on those charts. Also, when you start treatment, we want to see improvements. If your luteal phase is short, then we want to see it lengthen. If you ovulate very late or too early, we want to see timely ovulation. So you see, we use that chart for a lot of information, but this is definitely a thing. It's not a root cause, but it is a way into your case to see what is going on, even before you've done any blood testing. Also, sometimes your blood tests might come back and they are considered within range. And I find this especially the case with the thyroid hormones and also with progesterone and estrogen. But you look at the chart and you can see that ovulation is not at the right time. You can see that the temperatures aren't right. You can't see that the luteal phase isn't long enough. So even though your results might be considered within range, your numbers still aren't appropriate or ideal for you to be falling pregnant or holding on to a pregnancy. So this is why, yeah, blood tests, any kind of tests, are fantastic and useful, but we should use them as a guide, not as something to judge you by, I suppose. So if the blood tests come back fine, but you have symptoms like this lovely just shared, she has spotting before her period, then you need to go by the symptoms and you need to explore some more. So your chart, definitely an important one. Okay, so here's one. And if you've had homeopathic treatment in the past, you may have heard of this one before. And if not, this may come as a bit of a surprise, and it's disease tendencies. So hear me out. We all inherit character flaws, talents, skills, mannerisms, but we also inherit disease tendencies. So you will see in some families it's very common to have allergies, autoimmune tendencies, hypothyroidism. In other families, you may see that the families suffer with strokes and heart attacks, or depression, substance abuse, or did I say Parkinson's? Dementia. And in another family, you may see cancer happening. Now, all of these different types of diseases, you can kind of group in different disease tendencies. We've got an overreactive disease tendency, and you can see that when families have moles and warts, or maybe they have a tendency towards more hair growth. So a lot of my PCOS patients will have this kind of disease tendency inherited. You can see it with fibroids, with estrogen dominance, with cysts, but also the families that when they feel sick, they have a lot of snot, produce a lot of mucus, but also families that have things like ADHD. Like, there's also a tendency of too much, right? Or the partiers. Now you've got the destructive disease tendencies. And that is what I just mentioned, dementia, Parkinson's, if you're prone to ulcers, anything that's pretty destructive. So if you have recurring miscarriages and you see that in your family, you know those things are related. With the allergies and the cancer, you often see an autoimmune tendency. So these are things that I and my team that I've just onboarded will be looking at with our patients, because these are the things you can address with homeopathy. If you have an overreactive disease tendency, if you have a destructive disease tendency, if you have an autoimmune disease tendency, you want to bring that back to healthy, because a healthy you and a healthy partner together allows you to be fertile. A healthy couple is a fertile couple. An unhealthy couple is not always an unfertile or infertile couple. You see that all the time, right? Which is super frustrating. You see people just live as if their bodies don't matter at all, and they fall pregnant and you're struggling. But we're not talking about these people. We're talking about you and what you can do to improve your health. So this is a super, super important thing that we look at, because you can try every supplement under the sun. You can give every tailored homeopathic remedy. If you do not address the disease tendency and bring your healing mechanism back in balance, none of it matters. So I already talked a little bit about the charts, of course, which is an indication towards the hormone testing. But yes, your hormone health is super important. And again, if your blood test results come back fine, it's always important to cross-check that with your symptoms and cross-check that with your charts, because if your charts suggest like very low temperatures, which is often an indication of hypothyroidism, and you feel often cold and you struggle with weight, then you might be struggling with something that is called subclinical hypothyroidism. So then your blood test results, they're irrelevant. You're not going to want to wait around for those blood test results to reflect that you have hypothyroidism, right? You want to address it now. So make your symptoms more important, make your chart more important than the test results. Obviously, I am not promoting a hypochondria, which is thinking everything's wrong with you. But I'm also telling you not to ignore your symptoms, because your symptoms are the clue to what is going on. And as long as you're not falling pregnant or you're losing your babies, something is up with you and your partner, because it's about your collective fertility, right? So hormonal health, yeah, that's an important one. On my website, if you think you might be struggling with hypothyroidism and you have blood test results, you can check out an article that's on there that talks about the ideal ranges for your thyroid hormones, because what is considered within range by your doctor doesn't mean it's also ideal. What else did I want to say about that? Oh yeah, for example, that you can also do at-home testing, right? If you think you might be struggling with progesterone, there are tests like Prove that you can check at home if you cross a certain threshold. So you don't necessarily need to go into the doctor's office to get blood tests run right away. You can also do a couple of things at home. Or if your luteal phase looks fantastic, then why would you do progesterone testing? Or if your temperatures are high enough, etc. But hormone-wise, your partner, if he struggles with his libido, that's a good indication that he's probably struggling with testosterone. And that is an issue, because testosterone doesn't just help him produce the sperm, but also the quality of sperm depends on testosterone. So you're going to want to make sure that the testosterone levels are good. Now, his libido being low because of low testosterone doesn't necessarily have to be a serious hormonal issue. It could be just stress. And I'm saying just because stress can have a huge impact. But if he's not sleeping enough, not having fun enough, working really hard, then he will be producing stress hormones at the expense of testosterone. So that is something you can start addressing at home. Doesn't mean that you need to get testosterone supplementation right away. Okay, so number 4, we're at immune function. I already talked about autoimmune tendency in your family. If that's running in your family, then we need to pay extra attention to your immune function. Are you dealing with recurring infections? Are you dealing with very high temperatures in your charts. Those could be indications that you're struggling with an ongoing inflammatory state of your body. And if your body is in an inflammatory state, it's going to be producing stress hormones. Yeah, we don't just produce stress hormones when we emotionally feel stressed out or when we get an awful bill or when something happens in our relationship. We can also create internal stress if we don't eat. Our body thinks, oh my gosh, I'm starving. So it will start to produce stress hormones. Or if you are sick, you will produce stress hormones. So if you have an ongoing inflammation in your body, that can cause those stress hormones, which are made at the expense of your sex hormones to produce the right levels to hold on to pregnancy, but also to mature an egg and mature sperm. This issue applies to the both of you, not just to women. But also the inflammatory state makes your body obviously less receptive to an embryo. So you could be rejecting your babies early on if you're struggling with inflammation. Another indication of inflammation would be if you have severe period pains. Ooh, I need to take a sip. Yeah, so period pains. Also, if you know you have PCOS, they're also dealing with an inflammatory state. So apart from managing your PCOS, you're going to want to focus on immune function as well. Recurring allergies, another indication. What could underlie autoimmune tendencies is the inherited disease tendency, as I told you about. So if it is in your family, if you see cancer, allergies, eczema, kidney issues often as well. But also, if maybe you've had mono in the past or CMV, or if you've had COVID and you've never quite recovered, if you keep getting that cough back, or this happens and you have a throat infection, then you have an autoimmune tendency going on that you're going to want to address. It can also be caused by heavy metal toxicity or any toxicity, really. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, your immune function is something that we need to look into. And it doesn't just require immune blood tests because, you might actually be fine in that department. I mean, I remember used to get anaphylactic shocks, right? So they're allergic reactions that, you are closing up. And if you don't use like this adrenal EpiPen, you'll just, you won't make it. My blood test results all came fine, but my body kept reacting. So was I going to go by the blood test results? Oh no, Fleur, you're fine. Don't worry about it. Your body's just trying to kill you, but no, you're fine. No, of course not. I went by the symptoms. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some sips, going through the chat to see if you have some questions. And then I have two more important ones that I want to talk to you about. So many questions. No, not questions, comments. That's great. I love having all of you here. I should have done this ages. I think I keep saying this when we have a live. Like, I should do this all the time. Aye. Yeah, FSH testing. Yep, they do that. That's right. Greetings from Florida. Hello, Florida. Hello from the Philippines. Oh, you're almost ready for bed, aren't you? Please, can you tell me a little bit about the upcoming program so I can sign up? Yeah, of course. I'd love to do that because, all of the root causes that we're talking about here, we address those. There's no point. Well, I mean, there's a point talking about them, but step one is identifying which root cause applies to you, which factors, and then addressing them. And we can do that with homeopathic remedies, with homeopathic detoxing, with supplements, the right supplements, not just like all of these are fantastic. No, with the right ones that suit your situation. With charting to check if your cycle is improving, and with lifestyle suggestions, but also with the emotional support that you're getting all the time. It's not just a call here and a call there. No, you are matched up with your homeopath that walks with you for 6 months. You're going to have an ongoing conversation with them. Between your video calls, you're going to be able to access them in our private community and just send in your questions. Like if you're suddenly spotting and you're wondering, is this implantation bleeding? You don't have to think about that by yourself. You can write your homeopath. Or if you're not sure if you have ovulated, you can ask that. Or if blood test results came in, or if you suddenly get a cold or an infection or you have an injury, then you can get an acute prescription from your homeopath. So they're really going to walk alongside you for 6 months, you and your partner, to improve your health. Because, like I said, a healthy couple is a fertile couple. And it's not like you're going to do this program for 6 months and then you can finally start trying. No, you're improving your chances of falling pregnant faster with a healthy baby every cycle, every cycle. And we see our patients have results within the first cycle. They see changes in their cervical mucus, maybe, or their ovulation tests, or their luteal phase, in their sleep, in their allergies, in painful periods, you name it. I don't think I would be able to do this work if I didn't see quick results, because I am freaking impatient. Laura, oh wow, you're live. Mississippi here. Oh, hello, Laura. Yes, I'm live. And as I said, I need to do it more often. Will this live be available later? Yes, I'll make sure you have the replay. Alabama. Does letrozole cause delayed periods? Yeah, that's possible. I think I saw somebody share that I have done videos on fertility drugs and contraceptives. They're also on my website. But yeah, actually, that's a great one to move into the next bit, because another root cause that I look at, just going through, there are so many comments. It's awesome. I'm going to have to go through them later and find some good topics for upcoming content, right? But yes. The next root cause or root issue that we look at is removing maintaining causes. An obvious one is if you're smoking cigarettes. That compromises sperm quality. It compromises egg quality. It compromises your fallopian tubes. You're more at risk of having an ectopic pregnancy, because what the stuff in cigarettes does is it makes your fallopian tubes contract. So an embryo can get stuck and then develop and become an ectopic pregnancy. So smoking is an obvious one, but there are also less obvious ones, like if you have mold in your house. Mold in your house is going to aggravate your immune system all the time, so you're going to be in an inflammatory state, as I shared earlier, which causes you to have stress hormones at the expense of sex hormones, and causes you more likely to reject an early pregnancy. But you also have the less obvious maintaining causes, like past fertility drug use, or past contraceptive use, or past steroid use. And I have talked about detoxing homeopathically a lot. Can you guys hear that? What an amazing moment for my neighbors to start drilling a hole in the wall. Maybe they're just hanging something small. Let's hope that's the case. And maybe it's a hint for me to not talk for much longer. Oh dear. Maybe they needed 2 holes. Let's hope that's the case, fingers crossed. But what the use of synthetic hormones does, it puts an imprint on your hormone system. So even when you stop using them, they leave your body, but they leave the imprint on your hormonal system. So your hormonal system can kind of be limping. And your body can sometimes resolve that without issues. But if you have hormonal problems, and you can see that in your chart or in your blood test results, or you're not falling pregnant, then those are really important imprints that you're going to want to lift, which again, you can do with homeopathy. But that's considered a maintaining cause. Or if you're allergic to some type of flowers, but you keep the flowers in your house, that's a maintaining cause for your sneezing, isn't it? So you're going to want to remove those. And some are a bit more obvious, as I mentioned. Well, now you know about detoxing synthetic hormones. Heavy metals is one. If there's heavy metals in your body, then that's going to compromise the DNA of sperm and eggs, but also, again, put your body into an inflammatory state and compromise the functioning of your hormone glands, like your thyroid, your adrenals, your anterior pituitary gland. But there are also a little bit less obvious ones, like plastics, the plastics that are in our food and in our water and throughout our bodies. They can cause estrogen dominance. So again, that's something you can lift through homeopathy, but you're also going to want to get rid of some of the plastics in your kitchen and reduce the toxicity coming into your body. Another maintaining cause is something that I did touch on a little bit with the autoimmunity. You see a lot of these things overlap, which is why it's so important to look at all of you and not just at a little element here or there, but look at all of you. A maintaining cause that we see in homeopathy a lot and also in homeopathic fertility treatment is if you've had a viral infection in the past and it's never really resolved. It could be that the virus still is hanging around and it flares up every now and then, but it could also be that it's just given your immune system a permanent limp and you're just not functioning properly. Again, that's something that you're going to want to be addressing when you're trying to fall pregnant. Regardless of whether you've just started or if you've been trying for a while and it's not working out. What else have we got? Maintaining causes. Chronic malnutrition. Yes, Fleur. Thanks for reminding me. Chronic malnutrition. Yeah, if your vitamin D is constantly low, that's a problem. Big problem, because you need vitamin D to produce hormones. Or omega fatty acids, which you will find in olive oil and in avocados and in fish. Again, those need to be an adequate level for you, to not be overreacting with your immune system and be inflammatory, but also for the quality of the egg and sperm cells. I do find that most of my patients are severely deficient. Even those that feel like they are eating fish pretty frequently, which you want to be careful with as well, right? Because you can get heavy metal toxicity from that if you don't have like top-notch quality. Yeah, I find that even those people often are deficient. So this is something that I often run tests for because it's notorious. Also, vitamin E. If vitamin E is low, then that can cause you to have a thin endometrial lining and to have late periods. So I often start my patients on vitamin E for several cycles to see if that makes their periods more heavy. So you can go ahead and try that if this is something you struggle with. Or you can decide to not just look at, let me try vitamin E, but to go through your entire case and your partners and identify all of these factors and then address all of these factors at the same time and not waste time, right? Trying one thing at a time. And that's what we do when we have you as a patient. I did touch on nutrition already, but that would be the other root cause issue thing. So it's a maintaining cause because chronic malnutrition would fit in there. But nutrition deserves its, pardon, I need to stop talking. Nutrition deserves to be pointed out as a topic on its own. Personally, I really like the nourishing traditions way of eating because it prepares you really, really well for pregnancy. Builds up your reserves also for breastfeeding down the line. But I know a lot of people are vegan or they eat in a vegetarian way, which I totally understand because I prefer it that way. I just haven't found a way to do that and make sure that my reserves are up enough to be healthy. So definitely look into Weston Price or Nourishing Traditions if you find that interesting. But most of the time, I find that the couples that come to see me, even if they start eating that way, they would need to be eating that way exclusively for 6 months to build up their nutrient base enough. So we do supplement a lot. But again, the supplementation is targeted and tailored to what's going on for you. Right. Let's see. Are there any questions about this specifically? Or about the program and the patient slots? Again, I want to remind you that tonight is the deadline to sign up if you want to be part of the kickoff that is this Saturday. So when you book in, you will get the chance to book in your fertility assessment with your homeopath, in which you're going through all of the root issues that I've just mentioned and more, because we have way more questions to ask. And if you tell us one thing, we'll ask around that issue and keep asking to help you figure out the root issues as well. So that will be your body scan, basically, your body and your history scan for the both of you. So that will be in 2 weeks. The first ones will be in the first week, the last week of August and the first week of September. But if you want to start now, then this Saturday, I am doing a live session in which we're starting to do this. So you can identify what fertility hurdles am I dealing with and to start addressing them right away and not waste another cycle, because we don't like that. I told you, I'm impatient. I get you. And I want to help you get your wins really quickly. So that's what we're doing this Saturday. We're going to map out your case history, both of your histories, and we're going to make connections that you haven't made before. We're going to find patterns that you haven't realized before. So I promise you, I guarantee you're going to walk away from that session having identified at least one fertility hurdle, but I bet it's going to be several, and with the tools to start working on them right away, even before you had your full body scan. So you're basically getting almost a whole month extra treatment for the 6 months. You'll also, when you sign up now, by the way, you will also get access to my DIY program right away, the Fertility Reclaim, and there are loads of videos and modules there to get you started, to help you also learn, interpret your charts. So that's great. You can get started with that. And you'll get access to my private community right away, where you can connect with other couples and with my team. And I'm hanging around there as well, obviously. So that's cool too. You can join that right away. Oh yeah, here. Chlorella is really good with increasing your vitamin D. Yeah, it's also supportive of heavy metal detoxing. It's not the only thing, but it's supportive, 100%. Does high cholesterol affect fertility? That's such a great question. That tells me you are looking at root causes. So no, high cholesterol itself does not affect fertility. But high cholesterol is a sign that something is up that might be affecting your fertility. So we produce cholesterol to heal tissue. So if you have a lot of cholesterol, my preference wouldn't be to give you medication to lower the cholesterol. My preference wouldn't be to limit your diet to lower cholesterol. No, I want to look at the reason why you're producing a lot of cholesterol, because who says if it's too much? If your body is doing that, that might be exactly what it needs. So that's what we start looking at. And with all of the patients I've got, I don't just actually work with fertility patients. That is my expertise. But because I like to be challenged and stay on my toes and continue learning, I also do treat people around me. And that includes older people. And a lot of them have cholesterol issues. But often they don't have just cholesterol issues. They may have had cancer in the past. They might be struggling with diabetes. So if I see in my younger patients that they struggle with cholesterol, I will ask them about their family stuff. And often you will find there is diabetes there. There might be heart issues. There might be, what did I just mention? Cancer. So the cholesterol levels tell me that the body is trying to repair something. It's just a matter of us trying to figure out, what are they trying to repair? Is it because your body is deficient in some nutrients and that's why you're in an inflammatory state or you can't heal properly? Or is there an active issue that we need to address? Amanda's asking, is ovulating around day 10 or 11 with a 25-day cycle healthy? Unfortunately, no. And a great question to ask. If you are ovulating that early, it's very difficult for your egg to mature properly so that it can merge with sperm and become a healthy embryo. Day 11, it's not impossible. And again, day 10, it's not completely impossible, but it's highly, highly, highly unlikely. I am very worried when I see that with my patients. But it's something that we can fix pretty easily, is one of the things that responds very, very quickly to homeopathic treatment and supplementation. That's a fantastic question too, Ashley. Hi, Fleur. Does dilation and curettage cause damage to the uterus? Yes, it can. And sometimes you can't see it. Sometimes you can. I've had patients that find out years and years and years after having a DNC that actually their uterus is full of scars. And when it is, it's difficult for the endometrial lining to be healthy and thick enough to receive an embryo. Sometimes through surgery, the scarring is removed, but again, that aggravates the uterus again, right? So sometimes that works, but I find that it's really important through homeopathic treatment and supplementation to reduce the scarring. And sometimes my patient will have had scans done and have been told, oh, you don't have any scarring, you're absolutely fine. But because I know that history is there, I will address scarring that might not be quite visible. And I often find that that makes a big, big, big difference. Not the drilling. Yeah, luckily they stopped. I guess they only needed 2 holes. I'm just going to jump through a few questions here. Can I get pregnant naturally at 45 plus? Yes, but it depends on your case. It depends on what is going on for you. And then again, that's the cool thing. It almost doesn't matter what age you are, and I'm saying almost because, of course, our time runs out eventually. But as long as you're still ovulating, if you know that your mom went into menopause at a certain age and you're not close to that yet, there are so many things that we can do. And I have talked about improving egg and sperm quality on my channel pretty extensively a couple of months ago. But especially when you're in that age bracket, you don't want to waste time. So you want to map out all of the potential root issues affecting your fertility for the both of you, so you can remove them as quickly as possible, and then also let them work together, right? If you're fixing it, for example, if you're fixing your vitamin D, it's not just your vitamin D, you're also improving your immune function, you're also improving your hormone function, and because your immune function is improving, you're creating less stress hormones, so you're producing more of the sex hormones. You see, it all has a knock-on effect on each other. I had 2 miscarriages after going off birth control before my last baby. Is that common? Oh, I'm so sorry, lovely. No, that's not necessarily common. It's possible if it was progesterone related, because if you've had contraceptives in the past, it does, like I said, affect your hormonal system. So it's possible that you maybe weren't able to produce the right amount of hormones. I have a couple of videos on my channel as well, the root causes of miscarriages, and a couple of things you will see overlap with what I keep pointing here because that's what my notes are. Overlap, but you might find that quite helpful and interesting as well. Hello, if my body temperature is almost the same 36 degrees on a full month, do you think I'm ovulating? No, I don't think so. Sorry, lovely. I don't think that's the case. And you're saying you have PCOS, so you'll probably see that your ovulation tests keep getting dark and then light and dark and light and dark and light several times. But I've worked with PCOS patients so often, and it's totally possible when we can get you to ovulate again, and if you're charting properly, for you to catch that egg and to hold on to that pregnancy. Yeah, I've got a bunch of cases around this. It's totally, totally, totally possible. But PCOS, again, is something you're going to want to address multifactorial. You're going to want to work on your immune function. We're going to want to give you remedies and supplements to make sure that you ovulate. But we're also going to want to guide you to be able to recognize when your fertile window is, when you're about to ovulate, so you're not missing when the egg drops. But we're also going to want to work with your partner to make sure that since you have less opportunity to grab that egg, to make sure that the sperm that goes there is in the best quality possible. You're going to want to reduce all of the issues that are impacting your fertility, uh, and improve your collective fertility in that sense, not just look at, oh, can we get you to ovulate? Well, my throat is about to give up. This is a great life. Thank you. I'm so happy. That's fantastic. I don't always have the right inspiration for a life, but when I saw this, I'm like, yeah, let's do this, because this is the core of what I do. How do you address scarring in homeopathy? With specific remedies. That's the short answer. There are simple remedies that are appropriate for that. It's not that I can say, hey, there is a one size fits all, or I tell you, because that is the cool thing about homeopathy. We have like 3,000, well, probably more. I've been saying this for 10 years. 10 years ago, we had at least 3,000 remedies. I used to work at a homeopathic pharmacy that was tiny in Covent Garden in London. It was tiny, tiny, tiny. But we had all these boxes of remedies, and it was all around the walls from bottom to top. So many homeopathic remedies. And why is that? Because we match the homeopathic remedy with the person. That's why I talk about root causes, because that's how I've been trained. I've been trained to listen to the person and to analyze their symptoms. If I have 10 people with migraines, I might give 10 different remedies, because one of them might feel better for lying in the dark. The other might feel better for a massage. The other says, oh, my migraines are triggered by a fight. The other says, my migraines are triggered by sugar. The other says, I had migraines ever since I hit my head. All of these different types of migraines ask a different type of approach. Now, the golden way of homeopathy, I suppose, is that you talk to a person, you take their whole picture, and you match them up with the perfect remedy. And this is how we've been trained. This is how homeopathy has been working for years and years and years. But I find that this doesn't always work anymore, because we are dealing with a lot of maintaining causes, as I just discussed, toxicity in our lives, a lot of stress in our lives. We have been exposed to plastics, to chemicals, to drugs, and all of these things affect our healing ability, our healing mechanism. So often this one remedy, given it once a month, it just doesn't cut it. And that is why I have been able to learn about detoxing, but I've also learned to give several remedies at the same time that work together. And also to not just look at the homeopathy, which is great because homeopathy triggers your own healing ability, but your body's not going to be able to heal if it doesn't have the building blocks. It's like we are giving your body the blueprint, and your body's like, cool, yeah, let's get started. Now, where's the scissors? What about the glue? Crayons? No? How is it going to make this piece of art if it doesn't have the materials? The materials are the building blocks that you find in your nutrition, in your foods, but sometimes you need supplementation as well. And we haven't talked at all about the whole emotional aspect. And I should have added that as a root cause. And Mrs. did remind me about trauma. Yeah, trauma can affect us a lot as well. If there's unresolved grief, unaddressed anger, unaddressed fears, those can impact our fertility as well. And sometimes to the extent that you can't fall pregnant at all. And sometimes it's just one of the factors, but you're still going to want to address just one of those factors. Yeah. And just, the challenges of trying to fall pregnant and having your period show up time after time. Not to mention if you keep losing your babies. Those things in itself are just so stressful. You're going to want to address those alongside anything else you do. Because if you don't, you're just going to miss a big part of your healing and your fertility. Okay. I think I'm done. I'm not, because I can keep talking. If you know me a little bit, you'd know that. But I think I've given you the gist of it. I want to remind you that today is the deadline to sign up as a patient. If you want to be there live with me this Saturday, we're going to go through your case and figure out your the root issues that are keeping you from falling pregnant. And I hope to see you there because I'm really, really excited to get started with this. And we've got some fantastic homeopaths on the team. I will go through the chat to find, where can we sign up? Yeah, it's in the description down below. Thanks for asking. In the description down below. And I can probably put it in the chat. Shall I do that? That's a great idea, Flora. Thanks for asking. This is why people have other people join to answer questions, right? In a live or there we go. That's the link. Go check it out. All of the information is there. And thank you so much for joining me live. I really appreciated it. It reminds me of why I do this. Sometimes it's so easy to be on just, sometimes it's just my camera and me. But now there were lots of you. So thank you for connecting with me. And I will make sure to go through the chat and answer any more questions. If you are not on my mailing list yet, you might want to get on there because a lot of the questions that are in here, I'll probably be addressing there before I have a chance to do a video. Have a great rest of your Thursday and much love to you. Mwah! Bye.